G'day folks, today in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Crane M2 by Zhiyun. I'm not quite sure how that's pronounced. This was released not too long ago and replaces the original Crane M. So in this video we're going to open it up, see what all comes inside the box. We're going to talk about some of the new features of the M2, and then of course we're going to test it out to see how it performs. So let's just jump right in and take a closer look. So the M2 is kind of an all-in-one gimbal. If you're a person who likes to film with your smartphone, a GoPro, or any kind of action camera, or a small mirrorless camera, a gimbal like this might be your best option because it's compatible with many different devices. Let's open it up here and we'll see what all comes inside the package. So we have a little envelope here that contains a quick start guide. We have a styrofoam case for it, and here is everything here. It actually is a very compact gimbal. That's kind of one of its selling points. So we've got a USB-C cable there for charging, smartphone holder, so if you're going to be balancing a smartphone in the gimbal, you have that there. We've got a wrist strap, we've got a thumb screw, we have a little mini tripod, silica gel of course, we've got the mounting plate, and we have the gimbal itself. So the Crane M2 has a load capacity of 720 grams. So that means all these cameras in front of me are compatible with the Crane M2. That includes my Canon M50, even though this is at the top end of the weight restriction. I do believe, just off the top of my head, the Canon M50 with the stock kit lens is about 550 grams, 570, somewhere in there. But it does balance on there and works beautifully, and I'll show you that later on here in the video. Of course, you can use it with your action cameras, such as a GoPro or the Osmo Action, and even your smartphone. So if you're a person who shoots with a multitude of different cameras, this might just be the perfect solution for you. It's super compact and easily fits in your camera bag. So let's just take a closer look at it and some of its functionality. First off, at the bottom we have a quarter 20. At the side there we have another quarter 20. So you can easily mount a tripod or an extension pole on the bottom. You could put a handle on the side there, or if you prefer you can put a smartphone mount there so you can use your smartphone as a monitor. On the side here we have a menu button and we have a power button. On the front we have an OLED screen, we have a 4-way joystick, we have a mode button, a record button. Now that record button is not compatible with all cameras. You can go to their website to get a complete list of compatible cameras. And that goes for the zoom at the side here as well. Not all cameras are compatible with it. We have a USB-C for charging, so I'm quite happy that they've adopted USB-C. At the back here we have a lock button that locks one of the axes of the gimbal. We have a trigger button, and it functions the same way as most trigger buttons on gimbals do. A double tap will recenter it, triple tap will go into selfie mode, and of course you can adjust the mode by holding it down. Now one of the big things going for this gimbal, like I said, is its size. And I've had it out, I've been using it for a few days now, and I'm actually quite impressed with the way it works. Now when it comes to balancing, of course, sometimes that can be a little bit tricky. I didn't find this one any more difficult than any other gimbal I've used. And once you've done it once or twice, it's pretty easy to pick up and you can do it within a few minutes when you're changing cameras. You can see here they have a nice quick release plate. If you're mounting just a digital point and shoot camera or a small mirrorless camera, such as the M50 here, you would use that slot to connect the camera. If you're going to be mounting something like a GoPro, you would use that smaller one there. As you can see here, they do have guidelines, so when you do get the perfect balance, you can make a note of that, and that way when you do go to put the camera back in, you can just easily go to the right measurement, and it'll balance a lot quicker for you. Now you can fully lock this gimbal for portability, and they've kind of done something interesting here. First of all, this is your first lock, and once that clicks in there, you can see it locks the pan. To lock the rest of the gimbal, you use this red knob here. You put it in its lock mode, and you can see there's a little pin there. So once you put it in its lock mode, those pins connect, and then you just tighten up that red knob again, and now it's fully locked. And what they've done here, so you don't have to go in and rebalance your camera every time you lock the gimbal if you're traveling, going from location to location, they have this kind of like little memory pin here. So you would set it at where it was when it was balanced. You would then tighten it and lock it in. That way when you go to unlock it, that'll slide right back to where it was balanced. So that's kind of a nice little feature as well. For myself, I primarily film with my GoPros, and I must say that it worked beautifully with my GoPro Hero 7 Black. I also had my Osmo Action in there. Let's just go and take a look at some footage that I shot with my GoPro. you're going to be buying the Crane M2 to mount a GoPro, you're going to have to pick up one of these tripod adapters. You can get them on Amazon fairly inexpensively, but you do need this mount as one's not included in the kit when you purchase it. And basically to mount your GoPro, you're going to put it in that slot there. And personally, I would start in the middle until you start balancing it, and then you can always adjust that later on. So I've got the GoPro in there now. If you want a video on how to balance a GoPro in it, just maybe leave that down in the comments, and then I'll see about maybe making one. But definitely, if you are going to be balancing it, good idea to put your little mini tripod on that comes with it. It just makes it a lot easier when it comes to the balancing procedure. Now, the only complaint I would have about using the Crane M2 with the GoPro is that it is hard to get at the power button. You can see there that when you have it balanced, it's pretty close to that motor there, so it can be kind of difficult to get in there and power on the GoPro. But other than that, it works great. Balance is fairly easy, and you can get some good results from it. Now, of course, there is a companion app for a smartphone, so let's go in and take a look at that now. So let's take a quick look at the app. You can download it from the App Store or the Google Play Store. It's called Zhiyun Play. You can connect to the gimbal and the Wi-Fi on the GoPro to control it. So let's just go in and I'll show you how to connect it to the gimbal and to the GoPro. Now I'm going to show you something really important here first. Before you can connect the GoPro to the app, you have to put it in 2.4 gigahertz mode. So we have to swipe down, we go to Preferences, we go to Connections. Scroll down until you see Wi-Fi band. You can see it's at 5 gigahertz. We're going to click on that and we're going to switch it over to 2.4. So very important to put it to 2.4, otherwise it will not connect. So we're going to launch our Play app here, and we're going to have to select the gimbal that we want to connect to. And we just swipe until we come to the appropriate gimbal. There we can see it's the Crane M2, so we're going to hit Connect Now. You can see it's picked it up, so we'll go to Connect. It's going to ask us what type of camera we have connected. We're going to put Camera. So now at this point we have to connect to the GoPro. So we're going to click that little Wi-Fi icon at the top. You can see there's a line through it. That means we're not connected to the Wi-Fi of the GoPro yet. So we click on it. You can see it scans for the different Wi-Fi networks and it's picked our GoPro up. So we hit connect. We're just going to allow the connection. Now at this point it's going to ask for the password of your GoPro. And if you're not quite sure what that is, I'll bring the GoPro back here. If we swipe down, go to Preferences, go to Connections, go to Camera Info, you can see there it has the name of the camera and the password for the Wi-Fi. So now at this point I'm just going to show you here. You can see that we can use the record button on the handle to start recording on the GoPro. You can see I press it and it starts recording. Press it again and it stops recording. Now if you're using this as a remote setup, you can also hit the record button on the app itself and that will start and stop recording. Now there's a ton of other things you can do with the app. You can go in and calibrate your motors. You can set your motor strength and different things like that depending on how you like to shoot. You can change all the gimbal modes there. And if we click that button there, we can set it to do a pano or time lapse. So now as you can see here, I have the Canon M50 balanced in the Crane M2. It balanced perfectly and everything seems to work quite well. There's no vibrations in the motors, no noise. With the M50, we're kind of at the top end of the weight limit, but yeah, it works quite well. So what a nice versatile little gimbal. So yeah, folks, that's basically it for my review. I definitely highly recommend this gimbal. Some gimbals can be a little bit finicky to use, set up. They can be overcomplicated. Especially if you look at something like the Smooth 4, it's covered in buttons and dials and just stuff that myself I never use. Something like this, it has a nice simple interface, easy to use, and it works very well. That's pretty well all I have to say about the Crane M2. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and you got some value out of it. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos, and we'll see you in the next one.